Hey, everybody, this is Mary Grothe, and you're tuning in to my podcast, Destination Remarkable, the show where I chat about my journey through life from childhood to founding 3 companies to my venture launching 2 books with Forbes. Every week, I'll dive in and unveil the highs, the lows, and even the nitty-gritty details of my journey. It's raw, it's real. Let's get started. Hey, Destination Remarkable. I'm Mary Grothe. We're going to talk about hitting the reset button today. Have you ever felt like things, when they're in place for a while, sometimes just need to be refreshed or hit a reset? I've definitely experienced that over and over and over again in my life. Thankfully, I'm not afraid of the reset button. I have a really high threshold for risk and change, and I don't like working in the world of gray. So usually when I do want to shift something or change something, that urgency inside of me navigates it pretty quickly. Well, I'm in a season right now where I'm really evaluating what is next for me as far as how I'm organizing and running my life, personally and professionally. I'm a fan of analyzing data because what's repeatable is preventable. And also what's repeatable is scalable. So it goes both ways. And so I've been spending some time in reflection and just thinking about, as we enter into a new year, what does that next version of Mary look like? And I encourage you to have the same conversation. So many of you who listen to this show are in a professional role like I am. Some of you are not. So think about this through your own lens, personally or professionally, or potentially both. I'm going to start with my personal life. Like, where does the reset button need to be hit? I've been looking at some trends in behavior of myself as a wife and mom in this past season. Things got busy at work again. I've been working a lot, navigating some challenges, and it's been taking up a lot of not just time, but emotional and mental energy. In fact, the other day, I realized how happy I was. Like, for the first time in a while, I just felt so carefree and was smiling and laughing. Like, I didn't feel weighed down. I actually caught myself in the corner of my eye in a mirror, and I saw this genuine, happy Mary. I'm like, whoa, that shouldn't be an anomaly. Where did I go? Where have I been? And I realized in that moment of reflection that in that precious time I get with my husband and my son, that I have been really weighed down and I haven't been emotionally excited and present. I can fake it pretty good, but in my mind, I have a million things racing through my brain. And I'm also just kind of getting through dinner so that I can get on my laptop and answer a few emails or knock out, some admin work. And I realized that my son is in his formidable years. So whatever I'm projecting right now as a working parent is shaping him. Also, my husband has been more than patient with me since we've known each other. This guy is like the purest definition of unconditional love. I really don't know what planet he is from. Boy, he has been through it all with me. Highs, lows, sometimes in the same day or hour. But somewhere along the way, he said this was fun for him and something he wanted to do. So may God bless him. But I have a decision to make in how I structure my time and how I show up. And I realize, as somebody with a platform on these shows and social media, that I can have episodes where you can obviously tell I'm in a different season of my life because I'm feeling ultra confident that I'm nailing it when it comes to work-life integration and giving you some ideas and hacks and strategies and how-tos. And then there's other episodes where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take anymore. Today is so hard. Right? That's just life. Those are the highs and lows of life. And that's also what you get with a weekly podcast without an agenda, because you're just getting how I happen to feel today. So talking about the reset button, it's just such a beautiful time of the year, each year, to sit in reflection and really look at the data around me. And as a wife and a mom, my family has been more than patient with me this year, more than patient and supportive. As I unlock the next version of myself, I can learn and grow from what I've been through in this last season, or I can just succumb to making the same repeated patterns of behavior and get the same outcomes. And when I talk about hitting the reset button, or even more of just a refresh, I know that my family has to come first, which is really hard as a CEO, because as a CEO, like the buck stops here. Like, I'm the end all be all. It does not get, like, there's no one else that it rolls to. So having that attention to the business, it makes it really hard, but it is still a choice, and we don't perform surgery over here. So it's not life or death, even though some days it feels like it. So hitting the reset button for me is through the lens of acknowledging that my actions and behaviors are forming my son's understanding of who I am as a mother and what it's like to be a working adult. The way I'm responsive or not responsive to him is forming potentially traumatic responses, just like I had. And I realize I can start to see it in him, how much he just wants me to pay attention to him and be with him sitting in the same room. He can't really stand when I'm on my laptop. And anywho, and I hit the reset there. It's time for me to choose my son and my family in this season. The other thing is he's 6. So I probably have like 3 more years where he's going to be really actively engaged in a mother-son relationship. After that, he's going to be in like 3 different sports and after-school activities, and he'll be doing overnights with friends and camps, and he's not going to want to be tucked in at night. And he's going to freak out when I go to give him a hug and kiss him on the cheek, and he's not going to snuggle with me on the couch. So it's like I have 3 years to put the laptop down. But how do I achieve that, right? Because the laptop is in my hands and I can't do those things because of a reaction from what I've created in my business. So the only way to get that, it would be one thing to be like, this is great. Okay, shut the laptop. But then there's not enough hours in the day to do the things that I need to do because of the position that I've created for myself at my own company. So I actually have to start with the company. And I need to make some changes, and I have. And I'm looking at the quality and caliber of the new team members coming on board and the maturity and the experience, and I'm humbled. These people some of them are former CEOs that sold their companies and went the CRO route and are coming to work here. And some of the most mature, experienced talent that I've seen, they're great. And I realized that if I can surround myself with people smarter and more mature than me, then I don't have to do their job anymore, or like step in and be a resource, or oversee and have to build unnecessary processes and infrastructure to standardize things. Like, it'll never be perfect. And I've loved every single person we've had here at this company. We've just had different seasons in our business, and we've had different models. And this model that we've embraced over the last month or 2 is going to allow me, I'm solving the right problem this time. I was trying to solve the prior problem by hiring more people or putting people in place in management or spending money on technology and systems and processes, where it's like, why are we putting the money there? We should just put the money in the comp plans and attract more experienced, higher level people who are further along in their career. So they're very established and knowing in these processes and don't need that level of education and, mentoring and management. There's something to be said about that mature talent. The other thing is I'm about to turn 39, and now I'm going up there. I'm not that, I'm on my way up, and I'm starting to realize the maturity of experience. And so I'm very stubborn. In my 20s, I would have told you I could run circles around these mature, experienced people, that I knew more and I was hungrier and could hustle. And, I was outselling just about everybody in the team, in the company, and in my 20s. And what's so interesting is that's such short-sighted view. I had so much ego, and a lot of it was just rooted in, again, I had this need to be loved. So I just had to prove through performance that I was worth anything. And I think it's just a part of a journey that a lot of people go through in maturity. But I'm finding the value in paying more for the right people, because then the pressure comes off of me. the way to get the laptop to close at 5 p.m. is to remove the work. So that's what we're doing, like hitting the reset button and doing that refresh. It was a really big, bold decision, and it was hard to enact. A lot of transition and change, a lot. And I let people down during the process, and I disappointed people. I'm sorry for that. But I didn't have a lot left in me to continue to go with the way things were going. There was an end point, and it was coming up. So unlocking the next version of myself means that I had to be brave enough to make some changes to get a different outcome. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting something different. So if I wanted those nights and weekends with my son where I didn't have hurricane brain or a laptop and could actually be there with him, then I had to change what was happening in my day-to-day, in my work life, so that things didn't carry over. So what a blessing that I have the opportunity to do that. I'm so grateful for this next season and where we're headed. I want to give you that same encouragement. Oftentimes people won't make the big changes in their life because they're fearful or they don't want to disappoint people or hurt other people's feelings. And trust me, I'm with you. I've already reflected. If I could go back and change the way I did it, hindsight's 2020, I would have done it so different. But I was under pressure. I was stressed. I was overworked, exhausted, prideful, and fearful. Those aren't good things. And so I made the best decisions that I could in that state of being, which, by the way, yeah, I could sit here and name 20 different ways that I could have done it better. But I did what I did, and that's okay. I can still love myself, even if I could have done it better. I can still love myself if I disappointed someone and let them down. I can love myself because I'm not a bad person and I'm committing to learning and growing. So in this season, it's time to get things back in order to where they're manageable and sustainable. I encourage you to do the same. Let me be the example to show you it can be done. If you're struggling with making that big decision in a relationship and professional, anything, write it out. Write out all the different ways that you think you could go about it. And then write out specifically your fears or concerns. What are you worried about? What's keeping you from doing it? And then maybe you can do better than I did and take the time to think about it and write. If I do this, then what might that outcome be? Okay, so I probably shouldn't do that. Well, this is what I should do, but why am I fearful of doing that? And do I need outside coaching or help or counsel or someone to bounce this off of and role play and gain my confidence in how to have that conversation? Or don't do this alone. I encourage you that as we look at the future, as I look at the future, I don't have to continue to repeat that spiral in the past stories because I keep finding myself in the same spot. No matter where I am, I find myself in the same spot. I have to admit that I'm causing it and I'm the reason. So I got to show up and do something different if I want a different result. And I encourage you to do the same.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in connecting with me, you can find me, Mary Grothe, spelled Grothe, on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram.